Good afternoon and welcome to Write from the Heart. I am your host, Deborah Johnson. Write from the Heart explores how handwritten communication can transform relationships and tell your story while preserving your history. Today, we're going to be focusing in on teaching children and teens how to show gratitude by crafting a handwritten note. Now, a couple days ago, I put a question out on my social media platforms and I asked if anyone had sent a gift to a young person and had not received a response. Whoa, I was not prepared for all the responses that I got. I was pretty blown away. I mean, immediately they just started coming in. And there was just such an intensity of emotion over the lack of acknowledgement from the receiver as to whether or not they liked the gift. It was a big deal. I mean, they just kept coming in. I just want to, for a second, read you some of the responses. I was trying to decide if this was a timely topic or not. And boy, did I get a mouthful. I just thought, okay, wow, people are real serious about this topic. I'm just trying to find the responses. Hey, Michelle, how are you? It is so good to see you today. I just want to, okay, here we go. So I reach out and I ask people, what do they think about that? Is that a big deal for them? And I got things like they're turned into a heart on Cash App, thinking it's cool, but no, it's not cool. Getting this generation to place an address on an envelope and buy stamps has become more and more obsolete. I don't get it, but it's their norm. We had other people say, our digital world has removed common courtesies and basic good manners. Just saying. And just saying thank you. Another person said, from a parent who tries hard to make sure that their child says thank you and shows appreciation, it is sometimes overwhelming to keep up with the well wishes. I hear you there. I encourage my children to say thank you in the moment. Sometimes it may be a text, which is the language of today's generation, or a quick call to say thank you. I appreciate that, Mom. Just the idea that you take the time to get your child to say thank you. If your child is old enough, just old enough to say thank you, you want them to do it. So you want to start as soon as possible. Now I realize, that I had a lot of work to do in helping parents when I was reading. There must have been about 60 comments, all asking the same thing or talking about the same thing. And so just put in the chat, have you ever had an issue where someone did not say thank you to a gift that you gave to them and you may be still right now waiting for some kind of response? Sometimes people mail things, so they're not sure whether it didn't show up in the mail or it did, but they didn't like it or what happened. So this is something that I just want to know. Just put it in the chat, whether or not you have sent out a gift and then not received a response. On today's show, I'm going to discuss tips for getting your child to say thank you. There's some research on this topic that really encouraged me in a major way. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Happiness, I didn't know there was such a thing, but the Journal of Happiness found that gratitude is linked to happiness in children by age 5. Can you believe that? By age 5, it's kind of ingrained in them. This means that instilling gratitude in your children at a young age can help them grow up to be happier people. So there's a major benefit there. According to a 2008 study in the Journal of School Psychology, a grateful child or grateful children ages 11 to 13 tend to be happier, more optimistic, and have better social support. They also report more satisfaction with schools, family, communities, friends, and themselves. Grateful kids tend to give more social support to others as well. And according to a 2011 study published in Psychological Assessment, grateful teens ages 14 to 19 are more satisfied with their lives, use their strengths to improve their communities, are more engaged in their schoolwork and hobbies, and have better grades. They also have been shown to be less envious and depressed and materialistic than their less grateful counterparts. Now let's just stop right there. That's enough reason to teach kids to be grateful. Can you imagine your child's going to be more engaged, less depressed, better in their schoolwork, have better hobbies just by being grateful? So it's true that much of the gratitude research focuses on adults. When you look out there, you'll see a lot of things about adults, but it all transcends uh, and moves down to children as well. Things like when people are grateful, no matter how old they are, they tend to sleep better. Tend to have a better psychological outlook on life. They're just grateful people. They tend to even live longer. Can you imagine that? So if you're worried about maybe adding on some extra years to your life, you might want to just be grateful. Count your blessings every day. Children should be taught gratitude as soon as they begin talking. That's me talking. I really believe this. I believe even before, you know how you read to your children before they're born? And I've heard people say this over and over again. Oh my goodness, I started reading to my child the moment I found out I was pregnant. I just got my book out and just started reading to them and talking to them. And my children just seem more engaged. They've always loved reading. By the same token, when you teach your child, even when they're sitting in that high chair, and someone hands them something and you say, tell Uncle George, thank you for that. Tell your grandma, thank you. Tell your dad, thank you. Whatever, they get into the habit of making that connection between something that just happened and saying thank you. And it's amazing. Kids have a voracious appetite to learn when they're young, before they're impacted by social media, before they're impacted by their friends. You are their first teacher. So it's so important to help them to learn. The Raising Grateful Children project at UNC Chapel Hill has revealed that gratitude has 4 parts. And I really want to focus in on this. The first part of gratitude is just noticing, realizing that you do have things to be grateful for. Then there's thinking about what you've been given, about why you've been given those things. Sometimes we don't think about that. We get a gift, we smile, we're so excited. But if you would just step back and say, you know why this is happening, help your child to understand, why do you think that person got you that gift? Why do you think the person, your grandma bought you that? So forth and so on. Then it's the feeling part, the emotions you experience as a result of the thing you've been given. When I get things related to writing, I know that person knows me really well. When someone comes back and say, girl, I saw this postcard, I had to get it for you. It was just so cute. Sometimes people just take a picture of stationery and say, Deborah, I saw this today and I was thinking about you. It just makes me feel warm inside. It's like when I get flowers. I love flowers. Not everybody loves them, but I really do. And then the doing, the way you express appreciation. So it's the noticing, the thinking, the feeling, and then the doing. That's the way you express appreciation. Researchers found that most parents stay focused on what the children do to show gratitude. So while 85% of parents say they prompted their kids to say thank you, it's kind of a knee jerk. Someone gives their child a gift, they look at their child and say, now what do you say? Or did you say thank you? But only 39% encourage children to show gratitudes in ways that went beyond good manners. That's writing a note. That's, doing something nice for that person, remembering them, not just focusing in on saying thank you as a perfunctory thing, as a knee-jerk reaction. In addition, only a third of parents ask their children how a gift made them feel. And only 22% asked them why they thought someone had bought them a gift. Now, Sutton says, a friend mentioned my children, husband, and I are so polite to each other. A compliment, however rare it is, must be, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. You know why they say that, Michelle? It's because so often they see kids who are ungrateful. They see kids yank the toy and say, oh, okay, and start playing and don't even say thank you. Or just don't see people extending common courtesy. Even before you get to the written note, there is just something about modeling this great behavior for your children that goes a long way. So it's clear that showing gratitude is good for the giver and it's good for the receiver. Also, the younger you start, the better your child will be at showing this gratitude. I believe it's important to stress the feelings of the giver to the child, of how they took the time to think about you, even before and before an event, especially if you have a really small child. If it's their birthday, if it's Christmas, if it's their graduation from kindergarten, and someone will probably give them a gift, talk to them about the importance of saying thank you even before they go to the event. Talk to them about how it's important to thank people for coming. People didn't have to get up and come all the way over to your school to see you walk across the stage. They didn't have to give you anything for Christmas, but they showed up to be here with you. So you might want to role play with a really small child. Sometimes when a little kid, have you ever been embarrassed by something that comes out of your child's mouth? It's happened. Somebody says, here, they give them a gift and they go, oh my gosh, I hate those. Oh, I didn't like the red one. Why didn't you get the green one? And you're sitting there going, what do you say? Now you're flustered and you're trying to get your child to just say thank you, and you're pinching them from behind, or you're looking at them going, are you serious right now? Look at your grandmother and say thank you. It doesn't matter what color. Seriously, those kind of exchanges happen. So what you want to do ahead of time is say, no matter what you get, it doesn't matter. It matters that they thought about you. If they give you something you don't like, you never say, I didn't like that. You just say, thank you for thinking of me. So it goes like that. And I'm focusing on small children right at this second because that's where it starts. But this is all about children from 3 to 18 and even beyond is where we're focusing today. Emily Post is one of my favorites, along with Judith Martin, who does Miss Manners. And she has a great site. And so today, what I'm sharing are her tips for children ages 3 to 18. But just know these tips can be used for people beyond 18 and children beyond 18. So I'm going to say this before I get started with that. When your child gets a gift, if you can, take a picture of your child with the gift. If nothing else, Lord, if it falls through the cracks and you forget, if you could just take a picture of the child with the gift, send a quick text and say, oh my gosh, look what we just got in the mail today. Thank you so much. You can record your child saying thank you. It's the cutest thing. Every time I get a young person on my phone, on a video saying thank you, it melts my heart. It really does. And gratitude it's like a revolving door. They're grateful. You're so grateful that they're grateful. You really want to pour into their lives because you realize what you're doing is hitting the mark. So we're going to start with 3 to 5-year-olds. They're small, right? Not all 3-year-olds can even write their name. So you will write the majority of these thank you notes when they're that small, especially for 3-year-olds. Involve your child, though, in the process. Explain to them what you're doing. Explain to them, that teddy bear you got today? We're writing grandma to say thank you. Yes, we talked to her, but she would love to get a note today. And you show them the note card. If you can, let them write on it. Maybe you can get them to scribble or color something on it. If they're more like 5-year-olds, they know how to write their name. They get to weigh in. What do you want to do? Would you like to make a card for your grandma? You want to make a card for this gift? But get them involved. But just leave an area on the card where they can scribble their own greeting, even if it's in some foreign language that you've never seen before. And they might want to draw a picture or something. Often, an older child would want to draw a picture on there or write their name and sign that card. But ask them to sign that card because you want to make the connection. This is your card of thank you to your grandmother, your uncle, your friend, your Aunt Pam. And then and it's also a way to show them how well they can write. They're going to be excited just seeing it. It could say something like this: Dear Grandma, thank you for the sweater you sent me. Purple is my favorite color. I can't wait to see you. Love, Jamie. So you use the same principle as you use for an adult thank you. It's thanking them for the item, letting them know a little bit about it, like purple is my favorite color. I can't wait to see you. love, and that's love. And then so the I can't wait to see you is connecting that relationship. Love, Jamie. Now, when you have a 6 to 10-year-old, by this time, my children could write a note on their own, or they could call the center. And I would always make sure before they could play with the item, this is just me talking, they would get a gift, particularly a gift that they want to play with right away. I would say, not before we say thank you, but sit down and do it. Now, maybe they're playing with it, it's at their party. I don't make them not play with it then. But the very next day, we're sitting down and I'm stressing with them to focus on the thoughtfulness of the person who sent it, not necessarily the gift itself. I had a situation where he probably was 8 years old at the time. My child actually his godmother called me and said, I'm going to get him something for Christmas, but I want to know, what does he need? At this point, he was growing like a weed. And I said, Lord, socks and underwear. How do kids lose underwear, lose socks? But he definitely needs socks and underwear. Well, sure enough, he got a toy for Christmas, but this big bundle of socks and underwear. He was not having it. He says, what kind of gift is this? That's not a real gift, socks and underwear. And I stopped him and I said, your godmother thought so much of you. She bought you a toy and something you really needed. Whenever someone sends you something, you say thank you. So I got him to sit down and craft his own thank you note. So I kept paper on hand. I kept things on hand for them to send a note. Not every child is artistic, so they might not be drawing and doing all kinds of stuff, but you can help them by keeping those kind of supplies available so that they can do it. And then have your child read the note out loud so they can hear their own words before it sends it out. It's a real satisfying experience. And what you're doing is helping them to understand the whole sense of gratitude. So the person's not even there, but you're having them to read it out loud. Okay. And then now we're going to get to 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. When they're older, the older they get, the more involved they're going to be. So at 8, 9, or 10-year-old, you can just keep a stack of stationery. You can even have them go with you to the store to get it. You can keep construction paper. You can keep regular paper. You can even go and get fancy if you want to and get them stationery with their name on it. Whatever you want to do, your child, that would encourage them to want to write on it. And then you act as the editor and the teacher. This is a good opportunity to encourage them, impart wisdom, check their spelling. They might say thank you and they want to just sign their name and say, well, wait a minute. What did you like about the gift? When you got it, what did you like about it? Well, let them know. When do you think you're going to use it? They might say, well, I'm using it right now. Well, let them know you're using it right now. So you might say, you've mentioned several times to me that your sweater is the perfect color. Why don't you tell Aunt Mary that this sweater is the perfect color? It's really hard to pick colors for someone else, and they hit it right out of the park. So they'll be glad to know. That feeling when you send a gift and then the person says, oh my gosh, how did you know? I love that. You want to convey that to your child, that people get excited when that happens. Don't try to polish off too many notes at once. I'm the overdue person when it comes to notes and writing. Literally every week I write somewhere between 10 and 20 notes that actually get into the mail. That's just me. I love writing notes. But for a child that you're trying to teach this craft, maybe they got 10 gifts for their birthday. So today we're just going to write 3 or 4. Tomorrow we'll write some more and you'll get them done. Keep a list, have them check it out. That sense of satisfaction. They wrote it down, keep a note so they'll know what they got and then they can think about it. But don't wear them out, because if you don't make it fun, it's going to seem like just drudge and a task. So you really want to make sure that you pace yourself with this. Also, take them to the post office. Let them pick out their own stamps. There are dinosaur stamps. There's all kinds of pretty flower stamps. There's animal stamps. There's cats and dog stamps. I mean, every kind of stamp you can imagine. Then you can connect that with what's going on in the note. Maybe a love stamp. Maybe you get a whole pack of love stamps. and let them know you're sending not only your gratitude, but your love in the mail. If you have an 11 to 14-year-old, now that your kids are reaching a more independent stage, you just give them a little more responsibility and freedom in the note writing process. You don't have to look over their shoulder. You just say, make sure to say thank you, right? You just say, make sure you say thank you, but you got to circle around with an 11 and 14-year-old. You can't just say, make sure you send a note. It may never get out. It doesn't happen with adults sometimes. So say, hey, you need to have those done by Friday. And seriously, they need to have them done by Friday. If Friday comes and they don't get them done, maybe they're going to get them done before they're going to go out and do something they want to do on the weekend. Seriously, it's that serious. You want your child to learn how to show gratitude, and it's just important to do so. Bring them to the store. Let them pick their own stationery. Let it be really cool. You can order them online. You can work on them together at a specific time after dinner if you think they really still need some time to work on that with you. And then discuss when you both think the note should be sent out. Try and impart the sooner the better. Let them know the sooner the better. It's happened to me. I have written a note or started writing a note, got sidetracked, and then the worst thing happens. I happen to be pulling out my thank you cards to write another one, and tucked in the side is the note that I thought that I sent like months ago. Oh my gosh, the graduation was like a long time ago, or whatever it was in my life. And then I think, goodness, you know what I do? I take that note, and I would have the child do the same thing. Take that note and just write a little note on the outside of the envelope, tuck it into another envelope, and mail it off. No one is going to turn down a thank you, no matter how late. You want to stress to them, the sooner you can do it, the better, but nobody's turning down a thank you. So you just want to encourage them to do that. Does that sound good? If you have any ideas or any things that you do with your child or the children in your life, I would love to hear them. Now, 15 to 18-year-olds, encourage those teens to flex those creative muscles. Perhaps they can design a custom thank you card with their name on it on the computer, print them out, and write on them. I mean, they can do that. You want to get them into the habit of doing it because they're going to be going off to college, moving away from home, living on their own. And by this time, you want them to really be into doing this as a normal course of action. You might even get them to use their camera, print off something with their own little things on it. I mean, just really get into it. It might sound like I'm going overboard, but it really isn't. There should be a little station in your home somewhere, in a shoebox, even in a basket that I talked about some shows back, with note paper, pen, envelopes, the correct addresses. Make sure you have that person's address. Often young people, they don't know the address. It was your friend from work. It was their Aunt Mary. They don't know Aunt Mary's address. So go over their list with them. Provide those addresses for them. So if the kids feel like creating something unexpected or out of the ordinary, go with it. You might have that real crafty kid and they really get into it. Whatever it is, go with it, as long as it isn't going to confuse or offend their grandparents by getting it. Sometimes they can go off the rails. So make sure you check it out before they send it out. But a handwritten note is always the best choice. Yes, they can call, and I think they should call. If it's something that came in the mail, have that teenager call right away. Have your little one call right away. But still, they might say, I already said thank you. Why do I need to have to say thank you twice? Well, no, you're acknowledging having received it. But when someone goes the extra mile, then you write them a note. You can help them to start figuring out when you do and when you don't have to by showing that, by modeling that kind of behavior. I am so glad to see so many of you on here today. Cheryl, Dorothy, Fred, thank you for jumping on. This topic is so important. I have met some of the most polite children ever. Throughout my course of my life, I've sent gifts and gotten really wonderful thank yous, handwritten notes, pictures, but too often that doesn't happen. What do you do? What I'd like for you to put in the chat. What do you do when you don't get it? Is there something that you do? Do you stop sending gifts? Do you pick up the phone and call them and have a chat with them about it? Cheryl Owens was saying your 18 to 16-year-olds should consider writing thank yous to their favorite teachers and coaches. Oh my goodness. You hit it right on the nail on the head. You really should you want to teach your child to say thank you, not just for material things. And I want to say something about this. Here I am at my age, struggling with stuff and having amassed so much stuff and getting so much stuff. If you want to teach children the joy of appreciating a person for who they are, not for what they do, when the teacher does something really cool, when they come home and say, oh man, you won't believe what happened today, stop them and say, you know what? I bet you they'd love to hear that in writing. When I talk to teachers, they say things to me like, gosh, if I get another mug, oh gosh, please, I hope they don't give me another mug. FYI, teachers have all the mugs they need. They have all kinds of other little pencils and paper, unless they need pencils and paper in their classroom. But what a teacher will take almost to their grave are those notes that say, thank you for being there. I was a middle school teacher, and I still get notes and a quick email from some of my students who were 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and I'm still in touch with them. And they say things like, you were the coolest French teacher ever. I so appreciate you coming and doing that. I so appreciate you taking time to talk with me after class. Teach them to show thank you, Cheryl. Teach them to show gratitude for non-material things. If you want your child not to be materialistic, if you want your child to really value other people, teach them how to say thank you for what other people do. It makes all the difference. And so you see, it's never too early to start teaching children how to say thank you. And if you're the parent out there and you're saying, Deborah, where were you when my kids were little? I was busy. I was working 2 jobs. It was all I could do to do what I could do. You know, I was trying to make sure that food was on the table. I was just busy, or I never was taught that. It's never too late to teach the concept now. Teach it to your grandchildren. You'd be surprised. Your grandchild will teach your children. Fred says, I think young people shy away from that due to peer pressure. You know what, Fred? I think you make a good point. I really think you make a good point. But you know what? If you can encourage your child to quietly do that and send that to that teacher, guess what will happen? They will get the wonderful feeling of that teacher's face lighting up, of the teacher saying, thank you so much. And FYI, parents, from a teacher perspective, when I get a thank you from a child, when I get a child that comes to me and say, I really appreciate that, that's the child you're going to focus on. Seriously, you don't have time every day to focus in on all the children. It sounds wonderful. It sounds like people say things like, well, that's what teachers are paid for. But let me tell you, when someone says thank you, I have 90 nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, great greats, all the way down to the great greats. Do you think I can give them to everyone? No. But when I send something to a niece or nephew and I get a phone call that says, Debbie, thank you so much for that. Guess what? I can't wait to send them something else because I love, love, love the fact that they're grateful for it. When I send them money to school and they immediately say, thank you, I really appreciated that. That really helped. I bought lunch with that. Then I know, wow, they need money for lunch. I'm going to send it again. But after I've sent the first, the second, and the third gift and no acknowledgement, my thought is maybe they don't like gifts. Maybe I should stop. I don't want to offend them. Seriously, as a parent, if you're sitting there thinking, wow, they used to send my kids gifts, they don't do it anymore. Maybe they're not sending gifts because they never heard about the stuff that they sent. They're not doing it because they want the acknowledgement. But the acknowledgement gives them all those wonderful endorphins that makes them want to do it again. It's just how it works. So, and it just pays to say thank you. When you learn to do it there, you'll take it into the workplace. Those children will be more polite. We already know that saying thank you then allows for the child to grow up into an adult that feels good about themselves. Gratitude is its own reward. When you are grateful every day, counting your blessings. When you teach your children to count their blessings, when you get them to write and acknowledge what they're thankful for, even if they're doing it in a journal, and then transcribing that into their everyday life of sending notes, it makes a difference in their life. Fred Jones says, my mom always says it's nice to be nice. Oh my gosh, it is nice to be nice. My mother, all the way to almost in her grave, seriously, said thank you. My mother was the woman, when you took her to lunch, she wrote you a thank you note. When you sent her something at home, she wrote a thank you note. When you sent her pictures of the children, she wrote you a thank you note. Most of my siblings, not all, but most of them, write thank you notes. I always smile. I send my sister Sylvia something, she thanks me. She comes down and spends the weekend, I get a thank you note. Deb, thank you for your hospitality. This is my sister. She just does it because that's how we grew up. But guess what? It just makes you feel good. And it makes me feel good to write her thank you notes and other people in my family. It's nice to be nice. Thank you for that, Fred. It really is. It makes a difference in who we are. It makes a difference in how our lives go. I say, I'm so thank you. Oh, I'm thinking, thank you, Michelle. Michelle says she still has thank you notes from her mom. So do I. And Michelle can probably attest to this, like I can attest to this. My mom has been gone since 2012. But when I pull out one of those letters and she's thanking me for something, when I see her handwriting on paper, it's its own reward. It feels so good. It feels like I still have a piece of my mom there. When your children write to your parents and say thank you for things, their grandparents, the grandparents feel like I got a little piece of my grandchild today. They gave me a little note. They wrote a piece of paper. They share it with their friends. They might be someplace in another city kind of feeling lonely until they get that thank you note, and it makes their whole day. Help your child understand the feeling behind it, not the obligation to do it, but the fact that you can transform somebody's entire day just by taking the time to say thank you. That's really what it's all about. That was a lot of information, but at the end of the day, at every age, no matter how you get it done, teach your child to say thank you. If you are here and you don't have children, your children are now grown, they're nowhere nearby. Teach another child in your life. Just take the time. What a gift. The next time you're thinking about what can I buy a young person, buy them, a cool set of pens and pencils, a little gift set. Buy them stationery with their name on it. Cheryl Owen says, also quickly send a thank you. A thank you lets the person know that the gift got there. It's annoying to have to call to see if so-and-so actually got what you sent. The sender may be wondering if they have to contact the vendor, post office, UPS, Amazon, whether it was sent. I've been there, Cheryl. And you go back. The worst feeling, hey, Shirley Nicholson, the worst feeling is when you think, well, the post office has been really slow. You're thinking, I'm surely, as much as I put into that, I know if they had gotten it, they would have called. Then you get the picture from Amazon that says, oh no, we delivered it. Here's the picture. And then if you send the check, and then you see, yes, people still send checks. I send checks. Sometimes I send checks just so I can know it was cashed. But you see it was cashed, and then nothing. Well, let me tell you what. I took this hint from someone on this broadcast. And what she was saying was, I think it was Gail Dudley. She said, she sends half the gift. If it's a cash gift, she sends half the gift now. And if the child says thank you, she sends another portion. I kind of like that idea. So you just know the child doesn't know that you're doing that. They get the gift. They don't say thank you. Then that's that. You can't make them say thank you. But when they say thank you and then they get another gift, it reinforces that thank you. They go, wow, I said thank you and I got another gift. Now, once again, you're not encouraging the whole knee-jerk thing, but you just want to let kids know you feel good too. It makes you feel good when you hear a thank you. So at the end of the day, it's never too early. It's never too late, but it's always the right thing to say thank you. I love what you said, Fred. It's just nice to be nice. Can we just continue to do that? if you have a young person in your life and you know that they could benefit from this broadcast, would you make sure you share it with them? Maybe sit there with them and watch it and then talk to them about it. Fred says, I know the focus is on handwritten letters and thank yous. How about a type letter? We live in a digital world nowadays. You know what? If that's the best someone can do, yes, type the letter and send it out. Type a note and send it out. My concern about the knee jerk, I've done tons of research. I'm writing a book on it now. The issue is about the digital and sending it. It becomes an emoji. It becomes a thanks. It becomes a cut and paste. There's no connection there. And the person kind of feels like, oh, I got a text. I went out and bought them their favorite thing on their registry, and I got back a text. Now, but they're glad to get something, right? But if you're going to send a text, make it personal. Write still in the text message. Write down, oh my gosh, I was just blown away. I wanted to write, but I couldn't wait. I needed to send you this right now. I loved your gift. In fact, I'm wearing it. Take a selfie, send it. That's a different one than just the thank you and thank you and thank you. All of a sudden, the person just feels like, oh, okay, I got that run of the mill thank you. They didn't even sign their name. It was just a thank you kind of thing. Shirley says she sent several Zelle cash for graduations and haven't heard from the recipients. Been there, Shirley. You go back to see, did they open it? Did they get it? Sure enough, they got it. And it makes you feel some kind of way. And it's not a good thing. And it's not because you're doing it so you can feel good. You're doing it and you just want to know, how did they feel? What did it look like when they got it? Did they have a smile on their face? Cheryl says if they type the letter, sign it by hand and snail mail it. Yes, Cheryl. I have a friend and she said, Deborah, you know my handwriting is horrible. And she gets them out to me. She cranks out these wonderful, thoughtful letters. She says she's still amazed that I still write by hand, but she signs her name. And whenever I see that big N and all the little loops on her name, it still feels personal. So I like that. If you can't do that, then at least snail mail it. Write your name, put it in the mail. And the reason why is because you want the person to know they took the time to put that in the mail and send it to me. They were really thinking about me. It wasn't just a knee jerk. They were really thinking about me. This has been a great talk. You know what? When I started reading everybody's comments about how they felt, I knew this was hitting home somewhere. So please share this. Share this with a young person in your life. I am contemplating putting together a workshop for young people and maybe even young people and their parents about the need for gratitude and writing by hand and sending notes. Let me know if that's something you think that you'd be interested in, you think that would resonate. I'm thinking maybe I do it in the schools or in the rec centers or something for the summer. But if you think that that's something that would fall fresh for young people, I'd love to hear from you. I am at DJ Write, WRITE, from the heart. And so if you could just send that to me, that's me, DJ Write from the heart at Gmail. I would love to hear from you about, what do you think about that idea? Do you think that young people would really appreciate it? I would love to spend some time one-on-one with them, maybe even helping them to craft notes that make them feel good. But I just want them to understand how important it is to write by hand, because I think that they have no idea what the feeling is like, whether their handwriting is great or not, whether they're printing, or doing it in cursive, it doesn't matter. It matters that they're writing by hand. I think that they would really appreciate that. Shirley says, my nephew Isaiah came running to me yesterday, thanking me immediately. Mom and dad trained him well. Sure did. You know what? It feels so good when little ones. I went to my grandbaby's birthday party the other day, and it was at a pool. So just imagine kids are in their swimsuits. Every gift she opened, she went and found the child and said, thank you so much. This is so cool. But the thing, and I took a picture of it. I meant to share it. I'll share it on my social media. But one little one wrote her, I think it was two of them, but I took a picture of this one, wrote her a handwritten card. So it was painted. It was so cute. It was a picture in there. It was her sentiments about her happy birthday, but she didn't go and buy a card. She made a card. And I just sat there thinking, young people make cards still. This is so cool. And she's 10 years old. So on her 10th birthday, her other little 10-year friends are writing birthday cards, making them, and her mom had taught her well. And she took the time to look them in the eye and say, "Oh my God, I loved it." And it didn't matter how small it was. She wasn't bumping it up against another thing that she got. And guess what? They all knew what she enjoyed. She loves to create things. Almost every gift was about tie-dyeing something or pencils to write something or a pouch to put her pencils in. So I could tell that she has been taught to be relational with other children. It just goes a long way. That Shirley, your nephew Isaiah really has been trained well, and I hope we continue to take the time. If it's not your child, do it with some other child. It is the gift that keeps giving. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It means everything. Next week, I'm going to be talking about how you can write a letter of recommendation for someone. It's a different kind of a gift of appreciation for someone. But when someone has great character, you have worked with them, they have been at church with you, you've walked alongside them, they've been a colleague, a friend, a student, a teacher even might get a letter of recommendation from her students. That's powerful. I'm going to talk next week about what that looks like just in time for graduates now who are getting out of school, going on to the next level. Summer is the top time when people sell their homes, move to a different place and a different job. And often they are looking for letters of recommendation. If somebody asks you and you get flustered and you're wondering, oh goodness, I don't even know what to say. Or we'll be talking about what to say to the person who there's no way on God's green earth you would write a recommendation for. We're going to talk about that as well. So I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you take some time to write from the heart and have a great week. Take care.